Attention, please. It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Man, tell me that ain't banging. Fucking love that. Thank you, Julie. What's going on, you guys? What's happening, man? I see Sammy just got to his seat. We get some stuff going on here. Good night or good evening. It is the day after Valentine's Day, or the day after the VD Day, whatever you want to call it. Fucking. Let's get Sammy in here so he's not just sitting backstage eating. What are you gnawing on? A prehistoric stone?
Grapes.
Fucking grapes. I can't lie. I eat them quite often, too. I always talk shit about it and say I hate them. And somebody asked me about needing water today, and I'm like, listen, the only water I get is in the form of soda or coffee.
I just got back from St. Louis.
Yeah, how was it?
It was good. It was good.
Good to hear. Drive went well.
Are we live now? Huh?
2 hours? Yeah, we're on the air, bro.
Oh.
Yeah. What's going on, bro? Shit. I thought you knew, bro. We don't play around here, man.
I thought we were in backstage or something. It's just so quiet.
It is, actually. I'm not used to that. We usually
This is our 8:30-ish time.
Right. I would have been on here right at like 8:45, 8:50. I had some running to do. I had to go pick up Jessica from the truck so she could grab the van and get home. So just a little bit later than our norm. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling
How's
good.
Valentine's Day?
It was great, man. I sent Julie on an early morning treasure hunt.
Early morning treasure hunt.
Yes.
That shit's real. Hey, Jess. Love you, boo.
It is if you make it real.
I thought only white people did that in movies, bro. Hey, not racist here. I'm just saying I've only ever seen white people do that in movies.
My wife is white.
Yeah, you've lost your tan too.
And we live in a movie star like level life right now.
Oh, is that what it is? Movie star level life?
I mean, every other year I have movies made about me at this point. So.
Right.
I'm famous, but as Samaya points out, I'm not rich famous.
No, just famous enough to be recognized, not famous enough to be paid.
I need to be paid, man. Can I get
I
paid?
feel that. Hey, you guys, if you're in chat, be sure to like, comment, share, make it public, and
go to TikTok right now. Find us. Put the link in the chat, Monte.
Okay.
Find us. And then come back here and let us know you liked and followed the page. Because we got to build that up. And if you can, get like 1 or 2 people to sign up with you. Like, just like, if you know your mom's on TikTok but doesn't really mess with TikTok, just tell her to go on there and like the page for you. Can you pin that?
Shit,
Why did it pin it twice?
I don't know, and it came up as my O-Core, my YouTube, and my Facebook. Like
That's
all of it.
Crazy,
right?
You know what I think we need is a new logo.
You don't like the FA logo?
I love it. I just think we need a new one though. We need an additional.
Let's go.
Maybe a better quality, like a better image.
I'm okay with change.
Like with what I did for TLT, like I got some professional made ones.
The one where you're all swole up?
No, the logo. The FA logo.
I was talking about the picture of you with your duck lips.
Mm.
I like that picture.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that you had painted of you. It looked like a painting.
Oh,
You were holding the FA thing.
I love that one, man.
Men around the world are beating their meat to that picture right now.
I'll fuck around and share it.
Who doesn't like you, Jess?
What are we talking about today, yo?
How was your Valentine's Day? So you guys, what else did you do? You wanna?
So woke my wife up with coffee, a little bit of food. I actually wrote 12 things that I loved her for. And I did that to symbolize a dozen of roses. Because I don't like buying into you got to drop $500 for Valentine's Day
Right.
in addition to anniversary, wedding anniversary, engagement anniversary, birthdays. No,
Whoa! Engagement anniversary?
yeah,
Too?
the day we met, the first day we had pie together, the day we had coffee together. It's weird, dude. It's weird. There's all these dates. I can't keep up.
I don't even celebrate Valentine's Day, just to be honest with you. The only reason why I do is because she likes it.
That's the only reason men do it, dude. You think men would just volunteer to do this shit? No, they. Hey, it's like that one. It's like that. I saw this TikTok where this guy wrote, "Tip me if your girl is hot."
Yeah.
Think about how genius that is. Now you're on the hook to tip the dude whether she's hot or not.
That's gangster. That's gangster.
So, you know, and now they have a. I don't remember the name of the holiday. That's because nobody celebrates it. But the equivalent of Valentine's Day for women is they have a holiday for men now, and nobody celebrates it.
Right. Right.
I can't. We celebrated so much I can't remember what it's called. That's just how we roll.
Right.
So I literally hit them all over the property. So she had to walk like all the way to the mailbox, to the shed.
Yeah, wait. So basically, you sent your wife on an exercise.
Yes, she got her steps in. What's up, Jim?
Jimbo, I love you, bro. Tony, I see you. Jess.
So then I went to the gym, and then me and her went to we live by a natural spring that stays about 50 degrees year round. So it's like an ice bath essentially. And so we went and jumped in right after my workout, went there and jumped in the natural spring. You know, it's like Lake Michigan cold. Like, so when you stick your legs in, you get those pins and needle feeling.
Yep.
That's what it's like. And we did that. We did a little bit of shopping, got some groceries. Oh, and then me and her we played cards all night. Like we just, spent time talking. And
I wish we'd have done that.
Yeah. So I was teaching her how to play rummy.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Lizzie and I.
This is PG.
Lizzie started my day with bringing me flowers and candies. Something, I've never gotten flowers.
We all had to do something special for the women in our relationship.
Right. So she definitely made me feel like a special girl.
So now if I ask you, hey, were you a bitch in your relationship? You have to say yes.
Like, listen, well, you've met my children and
you got me.
I've met your children and your wife. We know what's going on here. Like, we ain't gotta pretend
I'm
like
not
we're
in
tough.
much better position over here.
Right. So
what's March 14th?
14th? 14th. 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 14 man day, blowjob and steak day. So Jessica and I made reservations at Red Lobster. You know, Lizzie's a big seafood fan. I am not. I like chicken, pork, or beef, man. Rabbit, like chicken, pork, or beef, bro. So I made reservations at Red Lobster. Jessica called it in and then told Lizzie, hey, listen, we made reservations for 6:30 because Lizzie is never on time for anything. We told her she had to be ready by 5:30 and didn't tell her what for, right? So then we hopped in the the Jeep at 6. We were ready by 5:30. We hopped in the Jeep at 6 so we can make our 6:30 dinner reservations. And we get there and they're packed, bro, front to back. And there's a reason why I'm going to tell you what happened. So they're packed front to back. We get there. As soon as I walk in the door, the whole lobby is just standing room only, right? They're calling reservations from 5:45. It's 6:30. And I'm like, damn. So we
just in time.
Right. We stand around for like 15 minutes. And I finally ease my way to the front. And there's this young kid there. He had just got up there. The manager just went into the back. Hey, Sherry.
What's up, Sherry?
And I say, hey, man, I got a 6:30. He was like, name. I was like, Monte. And he looks at the thing. He looks back. He's like, I don't see it. I said, 6:30. Monty, called it in at noonish today. And then he pauses and takes a little bit of a longer look and then looks back up and says, I don't see it. We're not taking walk-ins. We're too busy. I said, that's funny because I called in and made a reservation so I wouldn't be a motherfucking walk-in. Right? And this kid, he keeps saying, yeah, but we're not taking walk-ins. Listen, motherfucker. Did you just hear me?
Hear the words coming out of my mouth.
So I take a deep breath because I'm becoming angry, right? Like now I'm getting mad, right? Like I've already been here for fucking 20 minutes. Now you're telling me my shit ain't there. And he says, let me see what I can do. But we're not taking walk-ins, but let me see if I can fit you in. I got a lot of people in front of you. I said, you don't. I'm at 6:30. You're working on 6:15 right now. I'm telling you now, like, you don't have a lot of people in front of me. And I walk over to Lizzie. I tell her what's happening. I call Jessica. Jessica's the one who had called and made it while I was standing there. And I'm heated right now, right? Like, I am clenched fist. Like, you're about to ruin my night. I don't do much for Lizzie. Let's be real fucking deal. Besides pay the bills, right? And play video games. And I don't do much special shit for Lizzie, right? Like I show up with flowers once in a while, or that's about it. And so I knew how much she loved Red Lobster. It's one of her, she likes seafood. So I wait and I see the manager lady come back up there. And I wait a few more minutes and then I sneak my way up there again and say, hey, hun, we had a reservation called in today about 12:20 for Monte. She was like, 6:30. I took it. You're good to go, bro. And like just like that. Right? Like just like that. Instantly, I went from ready to smash this fucking kid's head into the computer screen in front of his face if he says, we're not taking walk-ins one more motherfucking time, to, but cool, you got me. I got time to go out and have a smoke. Absolutely. We still have 6 and 6:15s to finish off. Good shit. Good shit. Because I need to go out and calm down. But it was that instant when he couldn't find, it wasn't that he couldn't find my reservation. It's the way he dismissed me.
Yeah.
As he spoke to me. He looked and he was like, we're not taking walk-in. Listen, punk. Right? I just fucking told you I called in. Do a little bit more than say, I'll see what I can do. We're not taking walk-ins, right? Like if I'm telling you we called, made a reservation, saying this multiple times, do more than just stand there and say, we're not taking walk-ins. So fast forward, We get our food. We're sitting there, and it took a long time to get our food, although it was great. Good. Thank you. Thumbs up. Cold fries, but everything else was amazing, right? I see him. He's just a fucking busboy, bro. Like, I was going to bash the busboy's brains in for just standing there and trying to fill in for a few seconds for the manager, not knowing what he's doing. Because, he really doesn't know what he's doing. But, yeah, man, I was.
So let me tell you what happened today. I'm at Sam's Club. I'm getting ready to leave St. Louis to come home. I'm at Sam's Club. There are cars, at the Sam's Club in St. Louis, there are like probably like 4 rows double-sided. So you got like 8 rows for gas, and it's split by the building in the middle. So
yep,
4 sets of lanes here and 4 sets of lanes on the other side. And so everyone's just in line because you can't go nowhere. It's like a traffic jam, right? It's like there's probably 30, 40 cars waiting for gas. So I'm in the second lane out of the 8. I'm in the second lane. And so, that means the first row, the second row pumps. And then right next to us on our side is the third and fourth row pumps. So the guy in the third row, who's like supposed to be next to me, turns the corner to go into the third row and then pulls in front of me. He cuts me and like 20 other people to get in line. I beat my horn because he almost hit me to do that, right? And then, of course, he just acts like he didn't hear nothing. So now I'm just sitting behind this dude, fuming. And as we have always talked, you
didn't hit him with a brick.
I fantasized the entire time I was there.
Yeah.
What I would do, what I would like to do, what I might still do, what I'm gonna do. And then the car in front of him pulls off, so I have to go around him and back up into my stall because he's in front of me, and so I back up as close to his car as I can, and I have to because I got the truck, and so my gas, part is like in the middle of the truck, and so I have to back up. He pulled all the way up like an asshole too, so I have to pull up really close to him to fit in the stall. And I'll be honest, I got out. I didn't say shit, but I fucking mugged the shit out of him the entire time I was pumping gas. I didn't take my fucking eyes off him. And I was just like, oh, I want to fuck you up so bad.
Oh, he knew it too.
I want to fuck you up so bad. And he's looking, but he ain't, he ain't really looking.
Yeah.
It's almost like a chihuahua, like.
Right.
Dude. So yeah, I had my little buttons pushed and tested, but I passed the test. And it took me and then when I saw him leaving, I watched him until I couldn't see him anymore and was still fantasizing about catching up. Like, I know where he's going.
Yeah.
Dude, it's funny how you're fucking look at here we are laughing about the shit right now, but in that moment you're just fucking steaming, man. You just heated.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how quickly A, I got angry, and B, I calmed down, right? It was like that switch turned on and then just immediately short-circuited and turned off. As soon as she said 6:30, I got you, I took that one.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. I got time for a smoke. Can I go outside and have a cigarette? Because I almost killed your guy here, right? And the kid is standing there. As soon as she said that, he put his head down and kind of looked, did this number here and shuffled papers on the thing. And it never goes away, does it?
Yeah,
I don't know, Jim.
That is me, Sabrina. It never goes away. But so while it's intense, it's actually not. I'm not near losing control. I'm just feeling I'm sitting there feeling the emotion.
Fucking 15 years ago, I would have hit him in his mouth.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
Depends on how my day was. I might have did it today, but
right.
you know, I wasn't really that close to doing it, but I really, really, really wish I could have wanted to.
So I have a huge problem when if I'm behind the wheel and my family is in the car and somebody does something stupid, bro. I could be the worst sociopath in history. Like I want an AK, right? I want to light their tires up.
This should be a
crash them into the side of the road and then beat their brains in and be like, "You almost killed my family. Now I get to bash your skull."
Look,
right?
Like road rage is like a real disorder. It's literally what they would probably classified as impulse control, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like everything in you. But there's some science around why people are like that when they're in cars, right? Like think about it, man. Like we are using 5,000-pound tools to bully, and you know, not many people actually cut lines in person. You know, like when's the last time you've been in a supermarket and someone just took their cart and swung
in front of you? Right.
It doesn't really happen. It's only when people are in cars.
They feel protected.
And it'd be like the smallest person, you know, or the biggest, you know, and just like you just feel powerful behind that thing, you know, and it's just like, God, man, I'd love to set the record straight, you know. And this is the life of a former, as Jim is saying, it never goes away.
Yeah.
You know, this is just our saga, it's our soap operas in our head, but yeah, it does boil worse than this, right? Anyway, so
right, Jim?
On to recovery.
Well, you know what? I think that was a good that there is a good lead in, right? So let's talk about the fact that
you can have those feelings, don't mean you gotta do shit with
it. Right. And you said something to me early on, when I had shared with the group about feeling like I had gotten nowhere because I still had the same thoughts. And it got around to you and you laughed at me and said, Monte, when was the last time you allowed those thoughts to become reality? Like, don't you see the improvement there? So, right, that is recovery, Jim, right? But I didn't know it because I thought being in recovery meant my thoughts changed. It didn't. It meant my reactions to my thoughts changed.
And you know what's crazy? Like these are petty scenarios, right? Literally in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But how do we know this works and is working? Because we have faced real scenarios down. I know you've supported me through my very real battles, you know, very traumatizing things that took days to work through, right? Like, and you know, the reason recovery works better when you're in groups, and this is where y'all in the chat need to listen, right? The reason it works, that's the real genius about 12-step groups is that it's groups. Now, here's the thing. Let's say everybody in the chat, me and Monte are in a room together at a meeting. We are more than likely all certifiably fucking crazy, right? And we have all done, right? And we are all capable. We all have done bad things, right? Like we have a propensity. We are known for our history of doing bad things, right? Whatever those bad things may be. And it defies logic, the shit we've done. And so that's where the insanity piece, and we never got back to the definition of insanity the other night. So I'm gonna talk about it today in a second. But you have, let's say, so how many people are in the chat, Monte? Can you see that right away? Like 10? You're on mute.
We got 5 with us currently at the moment, but
all right, so let's say 5. So there's 7 of us in this meeting, and let's just say, for argument's sake, that we are all fucking batshit crazy, and we go in and out of being normal, insane.
Hold on, Sammy.
Okay.
Well, and please hold that thought.
Yeah.
So I got 5 of you guys in chat right now, and I have 0 shares on my screen.
Oh shit!
So
Who are those?
love-
No, don't do it. Call them out.
I love you all. Please hit that share button on your screen. Make it public. It's
And
really
I don't think you
important, guys.
pinned the TikTok address.
Batshit crazy. Oh yeah, hold on. I'll do that right now. So
Shit crazy, right? So that's all of us, right? Now here's the genius. So you put 7 batshit crazy people in a room. Any one of them on any given day could be the one who's having an episode at any given time, right?
Thanks, Yuri. I love you, bro.
Did you pin it? Because you're posting it, but I don't think you're pinning it.
I'm gonna pin you in a second.
That's not what he meant. That ain't even. Whoa. Listen. Somebody said share twice.
Oh, look at Sherry got it.
Nice,
got the
Sherry.
link.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Sherry.
Yeah, boy.
I need to make moderators.
No, so listen. The genius about 12-step groups is that while we're all certifiably crazy, we do go in and out of reality, in and out of these fantasies, right? Of the insanity shit. But the likelihood that we're all going to go crazy at the exact same time is minimal. Like, that is an important factor here. So the odds are that at least one of us will be sane enough to try to talk us off the ledge. Like, that's, now it is possible. It has happened where entire groups, when you think of Jim Jones type shit, right? Like where, you know, the whole 1,000 folks jumped off the cliff together, right? In that day, but it's not very common. Thank you. And go back to TikTok also. Just don't do it on TikTok, but make sure you do it on TikTok. Just messing with you, share. Just giving you shit. Thank you for doing that.
I'm gonna make Sherry a mod.
Let's talk about insanity. The definition that is widely used is insanity is, anybody want to put in the chat before I say it, what they have heard that definition is? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Real talk, Jim. Right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and
thinking you're going to get a different result.
Expecting a different result.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually call that false. I'm going to say that is not an accurate definition of insanity. Because here's why. That if we really expected a different result, like if we truly, honestly, really expected a different result, I understand why you would do it. I really do. Like if you know, if you thought things were going to be really different this time, I get why you do it. But here's the, in my opinion, the closer to truth definition. You're close, Sherry. You're spot on, right? In the definition of insanity is knowing what the result will be and doing it anyway. That is insanity.
Yep.
If you thought jumping off this cliff would save your life and not kill you, I understand why you did it. But if you jump off this cliff knowing that it'll kill you and you did it anyway, now I know you're crazy. Right? Because the brain isn't working right. In this case, and that is the psychopath. That, I mean, Sherry nailed it. Like, not giving a damn. Like we give up giving a damn. We give up empathy. We give up compassion. We give up self-care. Like who does 15 years on a 9-month bit? And each time that I lost my good time, I did the exact same thing. The first time I beat up a warden, essentially. in a race ride. The second time, I beat up 4 guards. The third time, I beat up a captain in a ticket hearing. The fourth time, I've in Green Bay flipped a guard over and broke his wrist and had to go to court. Like every time I stayed in the prison longer than I was supposed to, I knew exactly what the end result was going to be. And like Sherry said, I thought it was worth the price I was going to pay. How fucking stupid.
Well, you
How
know,
insane is that?
when we're in that moment, it's not that we thought it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it for our pride. It was worth it for what we believed our image was, right?
Primarily image.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Like today, I had a talk with my therapist, and we were talking about the situation last night. And she said, well, what was really wrong? Right. Like, well, what was wrong was I wanted to punch this kid in the mouth, but I didn't really want to punch him in the mouth. I wanted to explain to him how upset I was, right? And how he dismissed me, and that made me feel little, right?
Mhm.
And when I was little, I couldn't hit him in his mouth, but now I'm big and I can, right? Like
Right.
at that moment in our lives when we made those choices, we believed they were, at least for me, I believed that they were worth those losses, because it meant keeping the little bit of self-belief I had in me, whether it was the right or the wrong kind, right? Like my self-worth was completely entwalled and encapsulated by that image. And so if we destroyed that image, we destroyed me. And now I have to learn. And me no like learn. Right? Now I have to feel. Now I have to hurt. Now I have to recognize the little boy that we both were, scared and wanting to be loved and wanting to be cared about. And even if it had nothing to do with that directly, in the very core of things, to me, that's what it is, right? Now I have to recognize, if I recognize this piece, I have to start acknowledging the other pieces. And that means at 48 years old, I'm still a 5-year-old little boy just wishing his mother loved him, right? Like, I'm still that little boy. So even though, and we talk and we jest and we joke about it, but at the core for me, right, that's why I was insane. How I couldn't face that little boy. I still can't.
At that level, what you're talking about, and I've had to go here with hundreds of men and women. What you're talking about, what really motivates addiction, right? Addiction in a very real way is us trying to redo the past today, like trying to rewrite it, trying to relive it, redo it, bend it, shape it differently than what it is. And that is really the true aspect of the insanity. And it's thinking that I can escape life, I can escape consequence, I can escape,
suffering.
These demons, this suffering. Like it's a futile attempt at escape. And we all know, for example, imagine, I saw this on a cartoon decades ago while I was in prison, and it was 2 old men, like decrepit old men, right? Like these old guys have beards down to their bellies. They're basically skeletons with skin. They're hanging on a castle wall by chains, right? Like they're like suspended on this wall way up in the air. You could tell they're prisoners in a dungeon hanging by these chains. And the one guy says to the other guy, he says, "Hey, look." And off in the distance, you can see it. It says, "They left the door open." And the other guy's just looking at it like, "I could bite your face off if I." He's like, "So?" Right? Like,
oh, fuck.
That's why, so what we're really talking about, like we're still experiencing the symptoms of insanity when we role play like homicidal, visions of getting even with somebody who we hate right in front of us for petty shit, much less big shit, right? And so the insanity piece is not to be trifled. It's not really something we can dismiss. We have to pay attention to it, right? And the more you can, again, get familiar with what that insanity feels, looks, sounds like, the less power it has over you, right? It's like it's not going to. We don't have to listen to it anymore. But man, in that moment, the insanity is like, but it would feel so good, right? I would just love to do it,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's funny because, like, look at us now. We're like, no, that would have been like, you would regret that. Like, if you
Instantly.
did it, even if you think you got away with it, you would regret it because you'd be
Instantly.
like, I did something I am actively trying not to do.
Not only that, like, I would instantly regret the loss of my self-control and my self-respect, right?
Yeah.
Like that type of anger and violence, allowing that to own me, right? I would have lost a lot of self-respect and a lot of um, self-worth, man. Like I've worked hard to be a better human being.
It's
And
crazy because the stuff that we have to stop is something that has to be a hard stop. And so we have to get not being violent perfect for the rest of our lives. That in and of itself is kind of like a big deal, right? It's not the same thing as just having another drink, you know, because it could be very close to it for some folks. Like I know some folks would just really lose their shit, like if they did that. But the stuff that we're doing when we're violent affects everything and everyone who's in the vicinity, who will hear about it, who has to deal with us being on the run or in jail or prison. Like we have to be perfect at that part of the change, and so there are things that have to happen to
so let me be real with you about one thing. You're like those, if we're on the run or whatever, and I've been out 11 years now. I've heard that whole I'm not going back. Like they'll hold court in the streets before I give myself up, or I'll run or whatever. I remember several months after I was released, I had been having problems with the bracelet, and I'd be at home and it would say I would be out of bounds, and they would call and I'd be like, "Motherfucker, you're calling me on a landline." Yeah, where the fuck do you think I am, right? And I had a ton of out time because he had let me go to all the programs I wanted to go. So I was doing FA, AA, NA, Al-Anon, like, because it got me out, right? And then I worked. And my PO randomly called me during the day and said, I need you to go home, get your machine, come down to the office. I need to talk to you. And that's how he said it. And it was Tony Casciotti. I don't know, Casciotti, whatever his name
Kashadi,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, big bear of a dude. Um, I get my shit, I pack it all up, I get in my car, I go to the bank, I take like the $34,000 I have left over out. I had like 34 grand of it out of the bank. I went picked up baby mama from work and said, "Hey, here's the deal. They might be trying to lock me up today, and if they are, I'm going to come running out of those doors really fucking fast. I need you to be in the driver's seat, waiting and ready." And she was like, she looked confused, but she was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm not fucking playing here, right? Like, I just did 18 years. I'm not going." I get in there, I walk in, I tell the lady at the door, and she says, "Yeah, Tony's waiting on you." And I turn around, and Tony was standing at the door with the sheriff. Now, unbeknownst to me, it had nothing to do with me, right? But I'm ready to go. And in the instant that we lock eyes, he looks at me, I look at him. He sees, like, he sees. And I turned back and I looked at her and I sat down. And he came in, he handed me a pair of scissors. He said, "Cut that fucking thing off your ankle have a great day. You're off this bracelet. It's just no more. You said something about it just not being worth it. I was doing fine. Don't worry about it. And then him and the sheriff walked into the other door and arrested somebody. Right? Like, but in that instant, I knew, like, no matter how hard it would be, I couldn't survive on the run. Right? I was still fresh out. Less than 6 months home. Like, and I knew I wouldn't make it on the run. Right? Like, I couldn't do it. And that was a telling point for me, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, because I was that dude who was going to hold court in the street. Right? I'll make you kill me. You're not putting me back in the cage. But the reality was, I seen a better future going back to the cage after having 6 months of freedom than I did dying in the streets, pretending like I was some fucking kind of gangster, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And his name was Mark, not Tony.
Mark Gashotti. I only had him for 6 months, and then it switched over to do you remember her name? They called her the hanging parole officer. She was actually amazing. She's the one who put me up for that award. She talked to you guys, set me up for that award. Her, you, and Jim set me up for that award through the probation and parole. I forgot her name.
I do remember her. I'm trying to remember her name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either, but she was awesome. She was a great human being. I haven't had a crappy PO. They've all worked with me and been fair and been kind. Even when Jason Lubke put me back on high risk, just because he didn't know me and wanted to get to know me, like, which wasn't fair because I hadn't done anything wrong. But now look, 3 more visits. Can you believe that, bro?
When's your last day?
February 25th, 2025.
Oh, so next year.
So, yeah, I got 3 more visits. I only see her once every 3 months. So I got 3 more face-to-faces and then an out visit. So
okay.
We've already started prepping. She's already like, what are you going to do when you don't have me? And I'm like, fucking the same thing I do when I do have you. I'm going to Mexico, bitch. No, real talk, man. My PO now has been an amazing support. Like, I'm just honest with her. She's honest with me. We support. And anytime I have any questions, she's great. Anytime I need to, yeah. So I've been very lucky, but you know what? I've been absolutely brutally honest for the majority of the part with my POs. And that was something that I didn't know I could do. Right? I didn't know I could be that honest. Like,
the worst thing to never have is credibility, right? Like, it's worth its weight in currency, right? Like, and it's amazing because, you know, I've been on both sides of that, but, you know, being on this side where I'm influencing probation and parole, we were trying to convince agents that revocating a person who is honest with you could end up being, you know, counterproductive, you know, like, and by that, you know, it doesn't mean you can't hold them accountable, but does sending them back to prison have to be the first thing you think about? Right. And a lot of them didn't realize that they could use judgment, make a judgment call. And then, you know, of course, we had to twist our arm to look at the data, to look at the facts, the science. You know, and the hardest pill for corrections to swallow was that they were the #1 contributing factor to parole failure. Yeah. You know, here they are blaming the parolee, and we're saying actually the data doesn't support that. Here it is. And, you know, we were able to convince the governor of that. And the governor said, hey, you need to listen to what these guys are saying. And they got on board. Like, quite a few of them got on board. And they started to, like, admonish bad agents. Like, they were starting to say, hey, that wasn't cool of you to do that. Actually, the assessment doesn't support your assessment. You know, like, and we were, like, reversing a lot of their decisions. You know, so, like, you know, one that comes in and tells me he used, well, I'm going to revocate him. we could overturn that a lot of the times and say, hey, there are actually 2 or 3 steps that we can use before we get to that point. And they would be mad. They'd be so mad, you know. But we couldn't let them be accountless.
Yeah.
And because, you know, what industrial psychology teaches you is that people who don't have supervision, who are normally good people, will always lean towards corruption if presented the option. So like what it basically says, like, why do CEOs who otherwise, what is common about CEOs who otherwise never have committed a crime, who end up embezzling millions of dollars? What happened? Why do these people do that when there's no evidence to support that this is how they lived normally? And in 100, ready for this? 100% of the cases, those folks were left with no checks and balances. And so it basically says, if you want to keep someone honest who is typically honest, you have to have checks and balances, because unmitigated freedom of choice leads to bad outcomes 100% of the time. That makes sense?
Okay. I guess it's human nature.
It's human fucking nature.
Right.
One day, and to everyone listen, you know how you have mom and dad issues? I have mom and dad issues, right? Let me tell you who has the worst mom and dad issues. As a professional who has worked with just some of the worst types in life, the things that they have done, the crimes they have done, right? Like I have seen some dark shit. I'll never talk about it and don't want to, but I have seen some deviant shit. I have been privy both through my work in Racine, but this other phase of my life, dealing with domestic terrorism, I have seen some gory shit that people do, right? The ones who you have the hardest time making any progress with are the men and women who had no accountability from their parents. These are the kids. There was in one case that sticks out, right? He said, I would bring home A's, no one would say anything. I would bring home F's, no one would say anything, right? Like no one cared to say anything about anything that this kid ever accomplished or failed at. And I tell you, this guy, I have never met someone who drinks worse than this guy. He was told by his doctor he had to keep drinking or he would die. This guy eventually lost the ability to move his legs, right, from drinking.
Right.
His BAC was typically 6.0 and above.
Jeez.
0.4 is deadly.
Right.
Is deadly. This guy was like way above that, right? And walking around normal, but his hurt was from not having. And so when you not having any boundaries, and when you look at research and those studies like that, folks who just don't have limitations and boundaries instilled and put on them do the worst in life, man. They really just do. And I think we're all looking for limits. That's why we push them. We're trying to find where they are, right? We need to know where they are. And when there are none, what are the results? Well, in the drug world, it's overdose.
Yeah.
Right? In the finance world, it's stealing all the money, running pyramid schemes, getting away with it when there's no checks and balances, man. It is human nature to need, want, desire, as much as we think we hate it, as much as you hate parole, as much as we hate being grounded by our parents, as much as we hate being told no, as much as we have to pay, we would go insane without it. It takes a special kind of fucked up to not go crazy in the hole, because there's nothing there other than the four walls, right? But
Yes
I'm
and
gonna tell
no.
you, when I felt the worst one day was when they tried to transfer me to a prison and wouldn't let me in that prison. I truly felt like I couldn't tell what was up and what was down. I was so disorientated by that, like that doesn't make any sense,
It's a prison.
right? And they're saying I can't come here. I'm a special kind of fucked up that I'm not even welcome in the place that's meant to hold me. That fucked me up more than being in the hole for damn near 15 years of my life. That left me completely like befuddled, man. Like it was a mind fuck. That fucked with my head so bad. And I'm not the only one, and this guy isn't doing this is commonly known throughout the psychology world, man. People without boundaries, they can't help it. The human nature pushes the limits. And when there are no limits, there are no limits to how bad it can go. And so when we did those studies and this was my first year of doctoral studies, that was such a fascinating subject, man. I read everything I could get on. It's an industrial operational psychology, Joe. It's insane. It's insane. And that leads to insanity. Like people, you'll do better with why do you think prisoners are model inmates until they get out? Look what happens, right? And a lot of these guys are coming from a place that don't have structure in it, and you parole them right back to that environment.
Yep.
Right? But while in prison, are fucking model inmates. They thrive, they flourish, they get healthy, right? They have patterns, they eat well, they
Yep.
they get fit, they do their hair, their nails, their toes. They have good impulse control. Like, why do you think that is? It's what would happen if we all and in many ways, man, many ways, that's what a 12-step group can do for you. It can give you the boundaries and the limits. Somebody's going to know that somebody cared enough about you, even before they met you, to create something that was meant to help you keep track of your shit. Right? And then what do we do for each other?
Hold each other accountable.
Sherry's been talking about that, right? Sherry, I really like her line when she said self-respect is being accountable. And it fuels self-respect to be held accountable. Because what the real message there is, somebody loves me enough to help me check myself right now.
Yeah. Loves me enough to see that I'm fucked up.
Go to a meeting, right?
And cares.
Go to a meeting and pour your heart out and watch how you feel when nobody says shit to you. Right? Here you are being vulnerable and shit, and you just get overlooked. And I know that that's happened to people. Versus the days you go to meetings and you get told about yourself, you walk out of there, you might be mad or frustrated at what you heard, but the way you feel when you said something and nobody acknowledged it, it's way worse. Now you feel invisible, like you didn't count, you're not worthy, you don't measure up. Like the doubt becomes like incredibly hard to carry. Like it's just like, do I not belong there? Do I not fit in? And to your point earlier, like we're all looking for identity. And that identity around image has to be one where you feel accepted.
Yeah. And
so when nobody is helping you set boundaries, your identity suffers, man. Who am I? And I don't know if anybody on the call has ever had to do like these behavioral assessments for like to become a bank teller or some shit like that. They'll ask you, have you ever stole a paperclip? Now you got to wrestle with that, right? Because now you're like, well, if I say no, are they really going to believe I've never stolen a paperclip? And will I look like a liar? But if I say I did, now they're going to know I'm a thief, but does it really matter? Because like Just the question about boundaries is enough to send you in a tailspin.
Yep. No, absolutely, bro. I'm glad this is what we decided to talk about tonight.
It just made sense. It just made sense. IO psychology, man, and the corruption of CEOs. It's a fascinating read, fascinating studies, but it's irrefutable, man.
Without getting into it, it's the cause of why everybody says this dude was a great state level representative. What happened when he became a congressman, a senator, and now we're saying, where's this guy? Why is he so corrupt? Why does the swamp corrupt everybody? Right? No checks and balances. It's human nature. It sucks. And you can watch good people become bad people.
Unmitigated power, man. Right? Total power totally corrupts. Like that's the only way. Total freedom totally corrupts. Right? Total limitless and no boundaries totally corrupt. It's just we're structured, and if you want to get kind of like cultural about it, for me, everything has a formula. Everything, works in a particular way. Nature works in a particular way, right? We could talk about just the numbers 4, 7, and 11, right? And 28, 21. Like almost everything in life adheres to a formula that is repeatable throughout every stage of life, every kind of life, every type of life, every season, every month, every period, every pregnancy. It all has a formula. And we may not understand it all. However, what we see is that there is definitely a design. And that's what we were talking about the other day, where not doing something is not the same as change and recovery. Because not doing something is not a design. It's just an absence of a design of something. The 12 steps. What is the focus of the first 3 steps? The next 3 steps, and like what is the pattern? What are the boundaries? Right? It's by design. So here's the way to think of it. We are working towards becoming mindful, and we're working against being mindless. Right? Mindless, not doing something. Mindful, doing something.
Doing something, yeah.
Contraction versus expansion, right? And so we want to become full of mind and not less of mind. Mindless, mindful, less of mind, full of mind, right? It's by design. We have to have that design. That's why inherently, when I discovered the first 12-step group I ever went to, which was AA, I was like, this is it. It was better than treatment, because I was like, finally, there's a roadmap. Like I can start to draw a map with these directions. I can get a sense of direction. Treatment was great, but it was just so much. And it was so broad and so vast. And there's just everything, it's like reading Encyclopedia Britannica's entire library. But 12 steps narrowed it down and simplified it and said, hey, we can make this a little more concise. And obviously I'm still a believer in that. I need that structure. I love that structure.
Yeah, there's been a couple nights where we've come on and I could have went to bed. I could have played a video game. I could have done anything except sit here and talk to you for a fucking hour of my night. But I find now that we've structured our show a little bit better and we're coming on a little bit more, I'm getting the feeling of that group back, right? Yeah. Like we got our Jimbo here, we have our Jessica here, who's always there, Sherry, who hopefully will start coming in more often. She's a huge, important part of my life.
Is that Nick in her picture? That makes me happy, sad.
Yeah.
So the running joke there, Sherry. During the week, we're coming on at 8:30-ish.
So about 9 o'clock.
Well, I mean, it's been as late as 11.
Right.
So,
But Sundays
And we're in
Sundays
India.
are a hard right.
in India.
Sundays are a hard times. 10 a.m. Sunday morning. We say 9:30, but we're on by 10.
You got to message Monte, Sabrina. I yelled that like she can hear me. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm talking to the screen like, hey.
She messaged me when I was on the road the other day, and yeah, yesterday was his 40th. I have to call them up on my computer and send them to her for Sabrina.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yes, I can
Look,
hear you.
You gotta keep doing it.
Lean forward and yell
old,
louder.
man. I'm doing old shit now. Like I'm yelling in the phone, like that really helps and shit, right? Like, well, listen,
Hey,
it's late.
This guy
I'm on
doesn't
the
speak
road.
English, Sammy. Can you yell at him in
Yell
English?
English. Yell in English. Listen, Monte, if you can stay on when we end the live, I got to talk to you about something real quick. I need
Absolutely.
All right,
Everyone,
guys. We'll see you guys mañana.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you guys.
8:30-ish.
8:30-ish. Expect us by 9.
Between 8 and midnight.
Right.